Alright guys, so this is my SolidWorks Basics series. The first one is going to be on sketching. So we're just going to go ahead and make a new part. Alright, so first thing we're going to go over are these planes. So we've got the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane. These are the planes that you can create sketches on to start your part. I'm going to press Control 7 to go into isometric view. And I'm going to select the front plane. So the first thing we're going to go over is when you click on a plane, it'll give you this little button. And this will create a new sketch, and this goes for all the planes. Or you can click on the plane and then click a little button up here. It will say create sketch or just sketch. So if I click here and click there, it'll also create a sketch. All right, so the first tool that we're going to go over is the line tool. So the line tool, it makes lines. If you start from the origin, your line, when your endpoints will be coincident with the origin. And you can see that if I make my line vertical, I will get a little yellow flag next to my cursor that will tell me when I click, it will make that flag a geometric relation that will tell my line it has to be vertical. So I cannot move my line to the left or right anymore, just up and down. So you can also do that being horizontal. You can click your line and go over here and see all the different relations you can make. You make it horizontal, so now it can't move up or down, just side to side. Okay. So the second line, well, actually, there's one more thing with the line tool you can do. You can drag it out, create your line, and then you go out, bring it back in, and then drag it out, and you will now get a tangent arc tool. So you can make your tangent arc, and then it goes back to the normal line tool. So you can make a nice little, I don't know, tombstone looking thing right there with that. Also, another thing with these selection tools, the green one, so if you drag left, you will get a green selection tool, and that will select everything that it's touching. If you slide right, or if you drag right, you will get a selection box that selects everything that's inside of it. So if I grab a line right here, then if I unselect it, I will not get it if I just select it like this, but I will select it if I do it the other way. So the next line we're going to go over, the next line. All right, so the next line it's a center line, and this is a reference line tool. So you can use it for mirrors. Yeah. So it's not much different in placement with a normal line. Yeah. All right, and the next line is a midpoint line. Midpoint line is a normal line. It just extends from the midpoint out instead of in one direction. All right, so the next tool we're going to go over is the rectangle tool. The default rectangle is the corner rectangle. So if we drag out, get a corner rectangle. Hang on, there's a point there. I don't know why there's a point there. There's no point. Let's get rid of that point. There we go. All right, so default box, our default rectangle is just two corners, corner to corner. Yeah, and if you get rid of this, you can make like a trapezoid if you were to get rid of the verticals on these two as well. So you can make this one horizontal, and now you have a trapezoid. Anyway, the rectangle tool is quite useful a lot of the time. The next type of rectangle is the corner rectangle, or not the corner rectangle, sorry, the midpoint rectangle, or the center rectangle. So you click, you start from the middle, and then you drag outwards. The next rectangle is the 3-point corner rectangle. So you have, I don't know why that didn't, let's fix that. There we go. The 3-point rectangle. So you click once, you click second time to draw the base, and then the height. The fourth one is the 3-point center rectangle, and this you draw up, and it will create a line right here, and then you will drag out, and it will create your box, your rectangle. The last one is a parallelogram. This one is like the 3-point rectangle. You draw your base and then the height, except your height can drag around like this, instead of being just square, or not square, but right angles. Because it doesn't, this is not necessarily a rectangle, it's just a parallelogram. All right, the next tool is the slot tool. The default is the straight slot. You drag out, create a center line in the middle of your slot, then you drag out. I don't know why my computer doesn't like slots so much, it's just laggy when I create them. But then you click, and now you've got yourself a slot. The second version of the slot is the center point straight slot, so it's like a midpoint line. It draws a midpoint center line, and then you get your slot when you're dragging out. The third kind is the 3-point arc slot. You create a 3-point arc with a center line, and then you drag out, and it will create your slot. The last kind of the arc is a center point arc slot, which we'll go over when we get to these, the arcs. Drag out, then you click, and then you draw from your click to how much. It's basically a section arc tool. And then you drag out, and you get your slot. So the next tool is the circle tool. So just drag out, click, make a circle. The other tool is used for creating a circle like this with 3 different points. So I guess it could be useful if you have something like triangle here. You make a triangle real quick, and then we get rid of this little circle in here. Get rid of the Polygon Tool. And then you can use those points to create a circle. And you can create a circumscribed circle. And voila. And then these 3 points, you can determine the length of the triangle, this triangle's sides, with a dimension. Except I don't know why that didn't. Oh, right. Okay. Anyway. The next tool is, let's put this back into normal default settings. There we go. All right, the next one is the center point arc. So basically, you make a circle, kind of. It shows you a circle, and you click. So if I want it to be vertical first, and then start from above the origin, then I can do that, and it will draw me a line, an arc, based on how far I drag it. So you can have like a 90 degrees of a circle. The next arc tool is the tangent arc. So let's actually grab a line for this first. And then you can go in and do that. And you get a tangent, an arc that's tangent to your line. The next tool is the 3-point arc tool. This is a 3-point arc, 1, 2, and then the last one to drag your arc to where you want it to be. And a lot of the time I will take if I want it to be a tangent arc, to have the the middle, these 3 points, if I want it to be a semicircle, then I will make these horizontal, and it will become a semicircle. The next tool is the Polygon Tool. I already used this once to make a triangle. So you drag out to where you want it to be, click, and then you can change these change the circle diameter, which changes the triangle's size. if you change this to the circumscribed circle, then it will change it from the inside to the outside, from the midpoints to the endpoints. Just depends how you want to use it. And then this will change the angling of the circle based on the origin. Or not the circle. Well, the circle and the shape. So yeah, let's put this at 5. No, let's put this at 0. That should give us nice nothing. Well, anyway, next tool is the Spline tool. Actually, well, do a basic spline. I'll do a video later on splines just themselves. So the Spline tool, it creates a line based on points, or a curve based on points. It's useful for things like handles. For like mugs and things. Very long spline. All right, the next tool is the ellipse. It's a circle that does not have a constant diameter, so it's an oval. Partial ellipse is like a section, a center point arc, where you don't get the entire ellipse, or you don't have to have the entire ellipse. You create your ellipse, and then you draw. So if I want everything but that little gap there, I could have that. Parabola. If you don't know what a parabola is, it's algebraic, typically quadratic stuff. Anyway, this works the same way as the section tools. You get a section of your parabola depending on where you click. And then there's a conic down here as well, kind of like a spline. It creates things based on your point. And that's it for the ellipses. And then, okay, so we'll get to fillets next. Whoops. All right, so if we grab a rectangle and pop it in, and okay, so let's go to over dimensions first. Dimensions, let's grab the Smart Dimension tool. This is, currently I have inches. You can go inches, millimeters, centimeters, or meters. Get rid of that. So if you go, another thing that's useful, if you right click and drag, you will see these these 4 different options. You get line, smart dimension, circle, and rectangle. Yeah. So there we go. All right. So smart dimension tool. Click on your line or your 2 points that you want to dimension between. Click, and then say we want this to be 4, and we want this to be 8. There we go. And so you might have noticed that when I create my rectangles, I get, oops, there we go. If I create a rectangle real quick, it will give me the option to dimension it before I place it. So I can make our same rectangle real quick. And it would be, I don't have to go and click the smart dimension tool. So if you want this option, you're gonna have to go into settings. I'm not sure if the settings, I think it will, yeah, it does. All right, settings, and then drawings, and then, not necessarily drawings, sketch, here we go. And then enable numeric input on entity creation. And then this option right here will tell you, like, it'll either, if you have this option unchecked, it will always create a dimension no matter what, automatically. And if you don't have it checked, it will wait for you to put in a dimension and press enter, or it will not create a dimension. So if I uncheck this and I click OK, then when I create a rectangle, it will put a, oops, guess not. That's interesting. Did not say I get it. Wait. Interesting. Did not work how I expected it to. Anyway, let's move on to the fillet tool. So let's get our 4-8 back. And then if we grab our fillet tool, the fillet tool, if we put this up a bit so we can see it better, this will occasionally give you a little pop-up that will tell you, well, if you have a square, it'll give you a pop-up because squares typically have two sides set as equal, so you only have to set one side dimensioned. And so when you create a fillet, the fillet will shorten the length of the side, so it will no longer be equal. It can't be equal anymore, and it'll break some dimensions. It's fine. Shouldn't be too bad. And so if we select all our sides, it will essentially just round the corners based on a circle of the radius that you set here. And there we go. Now we have a rounded rectangle with lots of geometric relations. And if we go back, there's another tool called the chamfer tool. And it is essentially the same thing, just select your two sides and it chamfers. And the chamfer is essentially you cut an angle into it instead of rounding it. And you'd actually have to go into this, and you can see this little symbol. These two are linked. So if I change one, it's going to change both, unless I delete it, in which case I can go back in, create a new smart dimension, and now change this to like 4 or 0.4, excuse me. 0.4. No, it's 0.47, whatever. And then you can change your, if we get rid of this dimension, you just slide your chamfer around, and that's a chamfer. So let's go into our trim entities tool. So if we go in, we create a circle here. Let's set this as 5. And then we want to make this all one shape. Here, let's smart dimension this bit right here. There we go. Set this at 1, 12, 1. And then we want to set this all as one big shape, because you can see if you don't like these shaded contours, I find them helpful if I ever forget to trim something. But if you don't want them, click that. They go away. So if you want to make this one big shape, because if you were to extrude it right now, you'd have to select 3 different regions. This one, and this one. But if you trim it, you don't. You only have to select 1. Voila. And now it's all one big shape. You trimmed it all. So yeah, and of course these are now having issues because they're no longer tied to the origin properly, because their lines no longer finish. That's going to break it. This is it. There we go. That's part of it. Let's do this. 4. There we go. And you want to try to get your sketches to be fully defined so that you can't accidentally change something. Yeah. So points are essentially they're usually for reference, or like if you want to create say we want to create a box from there to the other corner, we can click there, and voila, we have a box there now. I've never had a situation where I've essentially, or where I've ever really needed a point. Usually I can use a reference point. If I go out of my sketch, I can use a reference point because it's 3D and I can use it with other 3D pieces. So I find that more useful. If we go back into our sketch, let's go over the convert entities tool in a minute. First, we're going to offset our entities. So let's actually no. Let's go over the convert entities tool first. No, don't do that. Let's do that. All right, so if we grab this, do a basic extrude, and let's set this to like 5. Sorry, I had to cough. All right, so if we click here now and create a sketch there on this side of this weird looking part. If we now grab our convert entities, and we have, you can see if we select all our faces or all our lines. So if we select our edges real quick, oops, that. Come on, stop. With the control click tool, this one, there we go. Not the point. Line, please. Not the point. Why? Let's do this again. There we go. All right. So now if we press the offset entities tool, or the convert entities tool, those will all become lines in our sketch instead of just edges on the part. So now we can offset them. So we actually only need to select one for the offset, because we can have this little select chain, and it'll select all of the lines inside of it. Anyway, so we're gonna create an extruded cut. So we're gonna reverse this so it's on the inside, and press the check mark, and it's already fully defined. So let's just go ahead and extrude cut this. Let's do a through all, not applying a through all. There we go, and voila! Now we have a hole through it. All right, so let's see. Let's do a mirror real quick. Actually, let's do a mirror here. Make a weird looking thing. All right, let's create a sketch on this plane, on this edge, or face. And let's create from, okay, create, actually, can we grab the, we can, oh, we can't, there it is. All right, so let's create a line, or center line, from this midpoint up to the top. And then let's create a circle that's, let's say 1.25. Boom. So now we're going to grab the center point of this line, point, and make that and that horizontal. And then let's grab the midpoint of this line up here. Oh, right. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another center line from this corner all the way to the middle of this. And then we're going to grab the midpoint of this, and we're going to make it vertical with this center point here. Vertical, there we go. So now it's fully defined. What we're going to do, we've got a center line here. And this means that we can use the mirror entities tool. So if we grab that, we grab our circle, we grab our mirror about, we're going to mirror about the center line. Voila, we have our same exact circle on the other side. Boom. And then let's do a quick extruded cut of that. Let's turn that down to 1 inch. Or half an inch, that works too. Yeah, there we go. And next, we're going to do something else. We're going to do something on the top. So let's do something on the top real quick. Let's grab here. Okay, so we're going to Control 8 to get us like this. All right, and we're going to create another center line down in the middle of this. Here we go, midpoint here, all the way down to there. All right, we're going to create one big circle here. Let's make this 1.5. No, not 0.5, 1.5. Oh, come on. Edit that. 1.5. There we go. All right, and let's create another one, another little circle. Let's do this at 0.5. And let's make this directly above. Let's make these two vertical. Vertical. And then let's grab this and let's make these about 1.5. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, and then we're going to grab the circular sketch pattern, and we're gonna actually get rid of this, clear, and then we're gonna click on this circle. Oh no, that's not what we want. We don't want that one too. We just want the one. Oops, got the other one. All right, and let's. No, we don't want that point to be it. Let's grab the point, bring it there. There we go. Let's bring it up to 8. And then let's, oops, that was weird. I didn't. Okay then, let's do that again. For some reason it disappeared. Let's drag this point back over to here. So it's going to be 8. Boom. There we go. All right. So now let's cut extrude those as well. Extrude, nope. No. Oh, we're in a sketch. Let's go out of that sketch. Cut extrude. Select the regions. There we go. All right, there we go. No, not that, and that. There we go. All right. And let's make sure this goes through. It does. Check mark. Boom. Now we have those holes as well. And let's do our final holes right here. Let's make a sketch there, Control 8. And let's grab one last circle and let's create a line from here to the midpoint of here. All right, that should be good. Except we're now going to create another line from here to the midpoint of that. And then we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to smart dimension this line. 1.25. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create another circle. Let's create this 0.5, and let's make this coincident with this middle point, horizontal. All right. Let's grab the, let's unselect everything, go back here, and make these two vertical. All right, so that's one. So we're going to go up here. We're going to grab our circle, and we're going to go up, and we're going to linear sketch pattern, and we're going to increase the amount of spacing in between, and we're going to make 4 of them. So let's increase it to 4. And we're just going to increase the spacing until it looks evenly spaced out. That actually looks pretty good. I feel like it might be, oh right, 1.25. There we go. That looks better. All right. So we're gonna press. If we wanted to, we could have made another direction too by adding more, and we've done that. But we don't need that because we only have enough space for one. Check mark. All right, and I'm aware that these are some of these are actually only 2 of them are they have the minus by them, so they're not fully defined. But that's fine. We're not really using these for. We're not going to use this part for anything. Let's extrude cut, grab them all, and then extrude them through. And voila, that is a part that used a lot of the different tools. Let's see. I believe that's all of the different tools. Most of the tools that you really need for starting off in SolidWorks with sketching. So I hope this tutorial helped you, and yeah, the next tutorial will come out, I don't know, a week or so from now, something like that. Yeah, thanks for watching.